I don't know who I got. I want to see Ilia win his next fight just so we can see Islam versus Ilia. That would be the biggest, most skillful fight of all time. It would be honestly hard to beat.
I think Ilia is a genuine KO threat, and I do think he can put up a better first stage defensive wrestling job than JDM did. But if he's not able to knock Islam out early, I think that he eventually gets worn down and beaten too.
Ilia Topuria moving up to lightweight. If he does fight Islam Makhachev, you obviously fought both guys. How do you think that fight goes?
I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him because Islam can be quite defensive and safe.
If I beat Topuria, it's going to be same. Everybody going to talk same. If I go up, takes a second belt.
I don't see who Islam doesn't do this to in that division. Yeah, we haven't really seen Ilia get tested in the grappling. Bryce Mitchell is a very high-level grappler, and Ilia handled that. Bryce had strep throat. He was sick. He was on antibiotics, remember? Ilia would be significantly smaller in height. No matter what they will fight at, Ilia will be 5'5". It is what it is.
Ilia Topuria shocked fans by demanding a new pound-for-pound belt for his fight with Islam, pushing the UFC to respond. Meanwhile, MMA Guru explained that some suggested matchups don't fit the current situation, especially the idea of pairing Paddy Pimblett with Ilia Topuria.
A lot of stuff moving around in the welterweight rankings tonight. You got Islam Makhachev taking the #1 spot.
He said Ilia is operating at a higher level right now, and making that fight just because both are well known would look more like a promotional move than a real contender matchup. He stressed that divisions need proper structure, not shortcuts made for attention.
Yeah. You can't do that fight. In my opinion, you mentioned, Pimblett getting a shot. That's why I don't want to see it. Even though Pimblett's coming off wins, you can't do that with Ilia right now. It's gimmicky. It's like, okay, they're big names and it sounds good to the casual fan base, but...
He then shifted to what he believes is the correct direction for Islam Makhachev. Guru said the divisions need time to settle, and the most logical next step is a fight between Islam and Ilia, assuming Ilia wins his upcoming bout. This timing allows rankings to move naturally. He mentioned his recent matchmaking ideas and said Islam versus Ilia is the matchup that fits best for the sport right now.
There's an order to be respected here. You got these welterweights at the moment. I think the next for Makhachev is Ilia. If Ilia wins a fight in January and then they fight at the White House, that is what's good because it gives time for welterweight right now. I made a video earlier, yesterday by the time this comes out, where I do every fight to make next. And my matchups were, let me know if you think I'm cooking with these.
Okay, go.
I want Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria.
Love it.
I want...
Furthermore, Ilia Topuria has been openly discussing his plans for the future and how he wants the UFC to recognize the scale of a potential fight with Islam Makhachev. He's looking beyond regular matchmaking and focusing on opportunities that highlight his ambitions across multiple divisions. With growing confidence and momentum, he explained the different paths he's willing to take next, saying, "If the UFC won't let me move up to welterweight to fight Islam, I'd really like to fight Islam in the third weight category. Let's say maybe I'll have one more fight." Further, he said that in summer there's a date when they'll let me move up to welterweight and I'll fight for the third belt. Or maybe they'll create a new belt called the pound-for-pound title at a catchweight. So, I'll fight for the pound-for-pound belt, let's say, plenty of options. Furthermore, Ilia Topuria has been openly discussing his plans and potential opponents. He made it clear that his ultimate goal is to face Islam Makhachev, but he's also considering other options if the UFC doesn't allow him to move up to welterweight immediately. Ilia explained his thought process and how he is planning his fight next strategically.
Yo, mira, pues tengo a Paddy en la mente. Me gustaría pelear con Paddy si es que no me dejan subir en peso welter para pelear con Islam, porque el combate que realmente me gustaría tener es en contra de Islam en la tercera categoría.
He added that this approach could have a positive effect on the sport. Instead of stalling the lightweight or welterweight divisions, a new belt could push MMA forward, attract new fans, and create more excitement. Ilia emphasized that this would benefit the UFC athletes and the sport itself, helping high-level matchups gain more significance while growing the audience and increasing interest in major fights beyond traditional weight classes.
Y peleamos por ese cinturón de libra por libra. Así que vamos a ver, hay muchísimas opciones, como siempre. Vamos a ver lo que depara el futuro.
¿Sería una petición tuya el hacer un nuevo cinturón? Porque uno de los argumentos en contra de esa pelea es que se estanquen, ¿no? La división del peso ligero y la del welter, la de enfrentar a Islam contra Ilia Topuria.
A ver, yo digo que el tema aquí siempre está en empujar el deporte y el que el deporte siga creciendo y no las divisiones, ¿no? Sino en que sea algo más general. Yo creo que va a tener un impacto muy positivo en el deporte, que va a ayudar al crecimiento, que es lo que se está buscando, y puede atraer un nuevo público y realmente trascender más allá del deporte. Y yo creo que eso es lo que se busca de parte de la UFC, lo que se busca de parte mía y de todos los atletas que formamos parte de este equipo.
After Ilia talked about moving up in weight or fighting for a new pound-for-pound belt, Islam Makhachev shared his view. He said that changing weight classes is very hard and takes a toll on the body. Islam explained that as he gets older, cutting weight becomes tougher and affects long-term health, so he's more careful about moving between divisions.
Самым опасным. Ну вот на моем турнире дрались двое ребят, оба выиграли бои досрочно, оба молодые, хорошо заканчивают бои. Но у нас сейчас дивизион, я думаю, самый активный, самый молодой, где самые такие конкурентные бои. Я думаю, UFC в ближайшее время определит. И вчера был хороший бой. Бывший чемпион дрался с молодым парнем.
Makhachev then spoke about the competitiveness of his division and the talent coming up. He highlighted how active and young the fighters are, making every matchup challenging. Islam noted that recent fights have been exciting and decisive, showing the depth of the division. He also explained that the UFC will soon determine the next top contender, as several fighters are clearly in line for a big opportunity.
Самым опасным. Ну вот на моем турнире дрались двое ребят, оба выиграли бои досрочно, оба молодые, хорошо заканчивают бои. Но у нас сейчас дивизион, я думаю, самый активный, самый молодой, где самые такие конкурентные бои. Я думаю, UFC в ближайшее время определит. И вчера был хороший бой. Бывший чемпион дрался с молодым парнем. И я думаю, у нас сейчас есть минимум 3-4 претендента. И в ближайшее время, наверное, уже недели-две будет ясно, кто будет следующим претендентом.
Adding to that, Chael Sonnen addressed the confusion around the pound-for-pound rankings after Islam's latest win. He said many fans are wondering how Islam moved back to number 1 when Ilia Topuria didn't even fight. Chael questioned the ranking logic and said the system could be clearer. He explained his view by saying he was surprised and added that the committee's decision doesn't fully make sense. He said, "I'm surprised Islam jumped back to number 1 when Ilia didn't even fight. If the rankings flipped, the committee should explain why." He also said, honestly, Islam shouldn't have been removed from number 1 in the first place. But once they did, how does beating Jack put him back in top? It doesn't move Jack to number 2, so how does it push Islam ahead of Ilia? Nate made a good point. Furthermore, Ali Abdelaziz reacted to the ongoing discussion about Ilia Topuria calling out Islam Makhachev after UFC 322. He reflected on past performances and the dominance of top fighters in the lightweight division. Ali emphasized how difficult it is to beat someone at the peak of their career, highlighting Khabib Nurmagomedov as an example of an almost unbeatable champion during his prime.
I don't, honestly, man, I don't think there's a man alive could have beat Khabib at this time. It's from lightweight all the way to middleweight. It was impossible. It's impossible. He's just too good, bro. Khabib is too good. He's one of one.
On the other side, Ariel Helwani, Eric Jackman, and Conor Burks began by discussing the next potential welterweight fights. They focused on Shafkat's health and readiness and whether a matchup with Islam makes sense. They emphasized meritocracy over hype, noting that fighters who are active and performing well should get opportunities. Inactivity or skip fights can affect fairness, and rewarding those doing the work is key to the division's credibility.
You told me that Shavkat was healthy last week, yeah?
Yeah.
No, it was not enough.
Okay, so what is it now? Is it Shavkat versus Islam?
Yes.
The crazy thing is, like, that might have the least amount of heat on it.
It's all right, but you just told me before that all you care about is the meritocracy.
No, the guy hasn't fought. There it is.
What?
The guy hasn't fought. He hasn't fought in a year.
You just told me it had to be Arman over Patty.
Yeah, I'm saying he hasn't fought the same way Patty hasn't fought. Arman now fought. It's all about who's hot, who's doing the work.
He's been injured. He's been injured.
Can I tell you? I think the big winner was Kamaru Usman.
Oof. I don't come away from this weekend thinking that Kamaru.
No, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna pull. They're gonna pull a Stipe John Jones on us.
Yes.
And that was annoying, and this will be even more annoying because there's like 5 guys who are getting skipped over now.
Next, they talked about fighters who got skipped and past UFC examples where top contenders didn't get their chance. They said rivalries or hype sometimes matter more than performance, but fighters who stay active and win should be rewarded. Ian Gary, for example, has been active and deserving. The focus should be on giving chances to fighters who work hard, not just following storylines.
We're getting echoes of like the past, right? This one would be like another Stipe. The other one, if Paddy gets a title shot, it's like echoes of like Cheeto or Dan Henderson or something built entirely on this like rivalry from the past.
That's like O'Malley.
Meritocracy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. O'Malley when he fought Cheeto or Dan Henderson when he fought Bisping.
I think Ian has done enough. I think Ian has done more than enough.
How has Shavkat not then?
It's more of a like, okay, you haven't been active. If we're gonna go with activity, yes, obviously he gets it because he's he's sitting on a win. His last fight was a win over Ian. If he's not ready to go, then but now
you said he was ready to go. I'm going based on that.
Okay, so you're going Shavkat, Islam.
Yeah,
it's got to be Morales versus Praches, right?
Sure. Love it.
Down for
Great
that.
fight.
I'm also down for Morales, Gary.
Finally, they discussed possible upcoming fights, including Shavkat versus Islam, Usman versus Gary, Merab Dvalishvili, and Peter Yan's matchup. They also discussed who Gary could fight, noting that he's always ready and active. They agreed that the UFC should give chances to fighters who work hard and perform well, while still maintaining fairness. Being active and consistent is the most important for big fights.
So who's Ian fighting? Because you can't do Ian versus Praches, obviously.
Morales.
That's what I was just saying.
No, okay, but then who's Praches fighting?
JDM?
Hello, JDM.
Usman?
Those guys. Usman. Yeah, hell yeah.
What
about Usman, Gary?
I go back. I think I said this on Saturday, or maybe it was last week. Shavkat, Islam, Usman, Gary, Morales, Praches.
Great. And look, am I going to be hard up if Ian Gary gets a title shot? Absolutely not. To your point, he's the one guy in the division who's like, give me fights, give me fights, give me fights. I'll risk my contendership every single time.
Meanwhile, DJ talked about a possible fight against Kamaru Usman and the risks for older fighters. He said the fighter could handle it, but needs to be careful. He compared past fights, saying Buckley was young, while Carlos Prates had faced tough situations before. This experience can help him handle pressure and adapt, showing that preparation and knowing what to expect are very important.
He could. I just don't want to, but I also know what could happen if he couldn't. And that's what I'm worried about. Yeah. I don't want, when you get these guys who are a little bit older, and this is just me caring, right? If I didn't care, then I was like, oh yeah, do it. But I just cared that he can get hurt pretty bad there, I mean, he could do what he did to Buckley, but I also felt Buckley was still very, very young in his career. He's never felt that.
DJ explained that Ian Gary has given Carlos Prates challenges as he might face against Usman. Prates learned from those fights and could use the same approach, but Usman is more skilled, so the fighter must have a solid game plan. DJ said strategy, being ready, and adapting during the fight are key because what worked in the past may not work against a tougher opponent.
He could. I just don't want to, but I also know what could happen if he couldn't. And that's what I'm worried about. Yeah. I don't want, when you get these guys who are a little bit older, and this is just me caring, right? If I didn't care, then I was like, oh yeah, do it. But I just cared that he can get hurt pretty bad there, I mean, he could do what he did to Buckley, but I also felt Buckley was still very, very young in his career. He's never felt that.
Ilia Topuria is asking for a pound-for-pound belt has grabbed everyone's attention. He wants his fight with Islam Makhachev to be seen as a top-level matchup, not just a regular fight. Experts say this fight could be huge, but planning and fair matchmaking are important. Islam says moving between weight classes is hard and affects health, while other fighters like Shavkat and Ian Gary show that staying active and ready matters most. Creating a new belt or having a catchweight fight could make this matchup historic and attract more fans. Should the UFC make a new pound-for-pound belt for Ilia versus Islam or keep fights in normal weight classes? Share your thoughts below.